Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the webinar on how to get good press coverage for your game. My name is Natasha. I work for Flanders DC. Next to me is Ronald Meeus, a game journalist and writer for many brands and channels such as the Morgen, 9 Lives, Data News, and many others. He will be giving some tips and tricks on how to get good press coverage and have a good PR strategy for your game. So Ronald, it all starts with making an awesome game, but if nobody knows it exists,
yeah, then it's of course your part of your job, I guess, to talk to us.
And that's where you come in.
Yeah, we'll probably meet at Gamescom or even before, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I want to first. The first message I have is that we basically want the same thing. I want to tell great stories about this great emerging medium, and you've also got a story to tell about your specific game, and it's just the angle in which we have a story to tell that's a bit different. Of course, you want attention. You want your game to be noticed. You want your game to be seen on websites, in newspapers. But what I need for you to do then is I'm not here to just give you the attention. I'm not here to help you sell your game. I'm here to tell a story about a game. So there has to be a good story about this game or about the studio, because the studio behind it, I mean.
Yeah.
Because sometimes there's great stories in just the way that your story started from its idea and how
it developed. Or how the idea came.
Exactly.
It's all part of the press story.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm gonna switch to a few things to certainly not do.
Okay.
The most basic one is don't play out certain cards about your game that you have a feeling that will make it an instant hit amongst journalists. Like if you just send a press release about your games saying it's a great roguelite with pixel graphics, we see dozens of those practically every day. Also, the fact that it's made in Belgium is becoming less and less relevant, because there are more Belgian games and more Belgian studios, which I applaud, of course. But absolutely.
But it's not the selling point.
No, not at least not anymore.
All right.
Let's see. You probably, during development or even before development, you've probably talked to all sorts of people, like investors, backers, whatever. You probably already have an elevator pitch in your head, but I guess the elevator pitch you present to us might be a bit different, because we at least think we know this industry, and you can talk to us on a more, I guess, equal level, which also means that you have to be brutally honest about your game, and you have to tell us what really makes it stand out, because you can't place these cards that I just
yesterday
mentioned.
We talked about pitching, saying that game studios really sell things to publishers. It's not the case with press. They're not selling anything to you.
No, we get to that later, but
taking you into the story.
It's like a different approach. I got an example. I've taken the game minute, which most, if not all of you, will undoubtedly know. You could tell that this is some sort of roguelite game in pixel graphics, and we simply wouldn't care. But if you tell us this is a game in which your character dies every 60 seconds, but the things done in these 60 seconds remain saved, and you keep your progress for the next 60 seconds,
becomes interesting.
That's an instant sell, and it actually was an instant sell when the game came out.
And it adds to the image. If you see the screenshot, you already know a bit about the visual aspect. You don't need to explain it anymore.
Exactly. You could tell that your game has very crisp pixel graphics. I take the example of Katana Zero, which is it's a more recent game. No, if that is the case, then just show your artwork, because that already tells that part of the story. You can put the fact that you really worked hard on your graphics in the features inside your documentation, but that's what we'll explain in a few minutes. The second thing that is really important is to present us materials. Because if you don't have screenshots of your game, and if you don't have a trailer, if you don't have something that we can use as reference materials, we will probably pass on your game, even if you made a good impression at Gamescom. So it's probably best to make a fact sheet, to make screenshots, to even concoct a trailer, which is hard to do, but and it's time consuming, but you should probably do it. Also make gameplay B-roll. Just play a section of your game, record it, and present it to us, because we might need it to edit into a video. Those sorts of stuff. We really need documentation. Why? Because we walk around Gamescom and we talk to people, and we get presented names of developers, and we get presented names of characters inside the game, and we get presented names of certain places inside the game, and we'll make phonetic notes about them, but you
don't care.
The name. At the time, no, but when we actually write about your game, then we need those names. But our attention span during the talk is too short to actually write down the names, the actual correct spelling.
You just want to have the story at that moment.
So we need those details inside the documentation. Then we get to the press release. It's a very important document for your game, but it's not the most important document. However, it's very important to get into the news stream. Because when you should see it as a news report about your game, about the stage in which it's in its development, about the things that make it stand out. When you distribute it to us, it probably will end up quite straight into the news stream, with some editing by us of course. But and I got some tips. There's of course the 5 W's. Just have a guideline that the most important stuff is in there. Keep it short, because we don't have time to read
max
several.
One A4 page.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, like 4 paragraphs. And I should also note that it's harder than it looks. So you probably you don't need to hire a PR agency just to write your press releases, but you could consider hiring a copywriter for a few hours.
So when you send ideally a press release before the actual show, can you give an indication on when you would expect to receive a press release?
Yeah, I would when you want to draw attention to your presence at Gamescom, I would say at least a few weeks beforehand, because we need to plan our trip. So if your game stands out for one reason or another, we need to plan it in, and if our schedule is full a few days before Gamescom, then we simply won't have the time to even come visit.
We have a question from one of our viewers.
Yes.
What's your opinion on handing out game codes and copies for reviews?
Yes, I wouldn't just dole out copies. I wouldn't just distribute them. I think you'd rather sell your game. But if you have talked to a journalist and you have the feeling that he was really interested in it, I certainly would.
So first
would
meet
send out a
and then
code.
send codes,
Yes,
not just
exactly.
send them out.
Exactly,
Like that.
exactly.
Okay.
That doesn't work because our time is also limited.
Yeah.
Yes,
and Frank also asks us, what would most likely draw your attention? Do you like to receive an email or like a public outreach, a tweet or whatever? What do you follow most? What do you like?
News about upcoming games. It always ends up inside my mailbox. So an email doesn't hurt for like broadcast reasons, you know.
Yeah.
And we're also very active on Twitter, I guess, most of us. So yeah, you
try
could
both maybe.
You could do both. Yeah.
And you briefly said something about PR agencies. You always have the opportunity to work with a PR agency or to do PR yourself. What would be your advice? Because I can imagine having someone in between you and the studio as a journalist might work against the message or not. What do you feel about that?
Not always, of course. I guess we know how the game is played. We get it when a studio becomes large enough in revenues to actually be able to afford a PR agency, and we also see these PR agencies as some sort of back office for you. But I guess the PR vision and the PR story you want to tell about your game and about your studio, you should probably keep owning.
Yeah, but use them as
that part.
Copywriter for polishing your text and getting your tagline.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
I mentioned earlier that the press release is not the most important document about your game. What is the most important document about your game is the fact sheets, because we will use it as reference material when we're writing or when we're telling radio or video stories about or podcast stories about your game. So that's actually more straightforward a document to make than a press release. Just put the basics in it, the game title, when it will be released, the platforms. I would repeat the elevator pitch we talked about earlier. I would write down some things about the history of your game, the development history, how the idea came about. Then I would list key features, which might include pixel graphics, and it's a roguelite dungeon crawler game. You can
imagine.
Yes.
Put them in.
You can go wild in this part of the documentation, of course, and very important is your contact information. But that's something we'll address later in the presentation. There are some prepared platforms to create a press kit, and the Dutch indie developer Rami Ismail made one of those. It's a very well-made tool to just
put everything in and have it like
include it in your website, and just put everything in there, and we'll find all the relevant information we need. There you might want to repeat your message from time to time, because the news stream worldwide of new video games is huge. Yes, absolutely. Especially since the indie community started out 10 years ago, there are lots and lots of new games and lots of new stories that emerge every day about new games. I get like 20 messages a day about 20 press releases a day on a website like games press, that's also the case. Like 20 to maybe even 50 new releases per day, and yeah, you'll have to you need to have some sort of some level of repetition to just get noticed, because we might have missed you the first time.
And do you always repeat the same message, or how do you see that?
You'll probably work in different beats. The most important ones are you start when you're ready to announce your game. That's your first
the news
beat.
is we're there. It's
That's exactly. Probably at the same time, but you could do that a bit later, is show your first screens from the game. In the announcement, you can just tease, take some assets from pipeline, refine them a bit, but the moment when you really have some sorts of vertical slice from your game ready to show the world, you could make your second beat about that. If we missed you the first time, and your screenshots are obviously good, then then we might notice you the second time. When you're further down the development, you might want to produce a trailer. If you want to include the gaming community in the development process, and you want to do an open beta, of course you'll announce that when you're ready to tell the world when your game will be announced. That's another beat, and so on. These beats we get that have some sort of structure in the story you want to present to us, but just don't overdo it. Lots of AAA studios, they send out during the development of the game, they send out like 3 news releases with new screens or 5 new trailers, and that's overdoing it. We don't really
just want to see some nice screenshots, a trailer, a new version. And I can imagine once the game is launched and you have some new releases or some updates, you keep on doing that after.
Of course, the games are live nowadays, so after your release, you probably have downloadable content and new updates. You might want to tell us about those as well, but my guess is after release that your community will be more important to you than the press. You might want to communicate those things straight to your community.
And if you did your job well, the journalist will be part of your community, probably.
Exactly. That's probably how it works. You might think, I got a great angle. This is a great moment to tell some things about my game. Like, for instance, let's say your game is about a green leprechaun. We'll do something on St. Patrick's Day. You might want to release your game on St. Patrick's Day. That would probably make sense, but just add another beat to this whole structure, to your agenda, just because it's St. Patrick's Day. That feels forced.
It's not authentic anymore.
Yes. You lose authenticity. Exactly. Don't call us, we'll call you. That sounds. That sounds pompous and harsh, but there's lots of you in Belgium and around the world. So we don't really like to be bothered. I guess a push strategy would work straight to your community. You can overwhelm them with news about your game. When you direct your attention to journalists, I guess a pull strategy is
it's a bit like
a better way.
You just want to browse and not get bothered by people trying to sell you things you actually don't like. What about like exclusivity deals? If you contact as a studio, a journalist, or one medium, and is it better to give exclusivity to one medium or to go really broad and
yeah,
just
that's
spread the message?
that's a tricky one. You could do that, but then you'll then you might anger journalists at other publications.
So you ruin long-term
yes,
relationships.
yes.
Prefer not to do
That's and yeah, you could do it, but after you've done it, yeah, then you could, yeah, then you probably should think about how you'll build a relation, how you further build a relationship with the other journalists.
Yeah.
You should
be careful.
Yeah.
Things.
Yes, absolutely. So, but the thing is, also after we've had a good talk, and after I've shown my interest about your game, then you know then we it usually happens then that we give you more attention than you had expected.
Yeah.
That's
So that's in fact
it also
not
happens,
to
yeah.
be forgotten. Just
No,
at
when
actual events or shows, just talk to journalists.
yeah, you could very well become talk of the town in an instance, and then we'll be all over you.
And then you'll see the email a little bit faster than you would have.
Yes.
On the other hand,
I would certainly advise to be approachable, and in the press kit and in the fact sheet, I would certainly put down your mobile number. It doesn't have to be your mobile number. You could work with two different SIMs that you can
to not get spammed.
That you can turn off after 7 o'clock, whatever. But the thing is also, we also write feature stories, and let's say you're making a great role-playing game, and I'm doing a feature story about role-playing games. I might need you as an expert on it.
Yeah.
So I'll call you. I'll just ask you a few questions, and that's like instant publicity.
Yeah. You get as a game studio in a database of interesting people, even if not
exactly.
releasing on the game itself. It's also good PR, if your name is in the paper as an expert on some topic.
Exactly.
People will start Googling and finding you anyway.
So that's it's more about getting ubiquity, I guess. Building a good relationship, rather and telling a clear story about your game or your games and your studio, than it is about seeking publicity. And I want I'll just come back to the point with which I started. We're on the same page. We need each other. We want the same. I want to see how this medium is flourishing.
You don't write about games because you have to.
No, exactly.
You like them,
exactly,
of course.
exactly. And if your game is one that pushes the envelope even harder, that pushes this evolution even further, I want to know about it. Just how you present yourself.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for these tips. I don't know if any questions will arise from now on. Let me see here. Yes, that's a good one. So moving up to Gamescom, of course, we talked about, like 3 weeks on beforehand, send out a press release. Yeah. But are there moments during the year that are a good time to contact journalists? Because you're overwhelmed with releases all year long, but I guess there are some periods that are better than others.
I certainly wouldn't do it during the holiday season. And with holiday season in video games, I mean, starting from the end of August to like the second half of November, because in that period, all AAA games, all the Call of Duties and the Ubisoft and the Electronic Arts games, they come out, and we probably won't even have time to play your game, let alone write about it. The beginning of summer is when I noticed that many independent games come out, because
Okay.
that's a calmer period. And what I also started noticing a few years ago is that at the end of November and the beginning of December, that's also when lots of independent games come out.
Just
and
before holidays.
Yes.
To get people playing during Christmas.
Yes, and the holiday games at that time, the most fanatic games, they've already played them. They're done with them.
Yeah.
So they'll want something new, and they're probably not at that point. They're probably not looking at an experience that takes them 60 hours.
Yeah.
They'll want something that takes them 5 to 10 hours.
Yeah.
And that's then it's really handy when your game comes out.
To have some attention at
Yes,
least among the AAA games. All right.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, thanks, Ronald, for
It's
sharing all tips and
my
tricks
pleasure.
on this. I think it's interesting for people moving on to Gamescom and launching later this year to take this into account. Let me recall that we will send along the slides to you after this recording. And for those interested in influencer marketing, which is also complementary to PR, we are on air again on Friday, so not tomorrow, but Friday, same time. You can still register for the webinar on flandersdc.be. Thanks, Ronald.
My pleasure.
See you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.